hear a bit about what took them on that process. So I wonder if you could give a round of applause to Andrew, who's going to join me up at the front. Who's in your family, Andrew?
My wife, Catherine, and our two daughters, Marley and Katie, aged 7 and 9.
7 and 1. And for a job, what do you do?
I'm a groundsman at Hagley Oval in Christchurch, preparing cricket wickets for a living.
Okay, now this is my opportunity. During a test match, a 5-day match, how often does the ground get mown at Hagley Oval?
Every morning, starting at about 5:30. It takes around about between 2 to 4 hours to complete a mow, depending on the pattern which we put in.
Now, on the subject of patterns, you see it from because now they've got the camera over the top and they, doing its thing, or drone or whatever, and these incredible patterns. How do you get it right when you're on ground level?
TV makes it look more perfect than it is, but basically we spend probably a good week out from every game deciding which pattern we're going to go with, and then someone has to bite the bullet and put it in, and then there's a process of to get the dark and the light colour. It's basically mowing the opposite way, so the light is the grass folded over towards you and the dark is folded away.
Now, Andrew's looking for suggestions tonight from people that would like to see something different this year. So if there's a pattern that you think would go well at Hagley Oval over the summer, just have a word and he'd be delighted to put it into action. Now, you haven't always been a Christian. Can you tell us a little bit about your beliefs when you were growing up?
Sure. So I was raised Catholic growing up. So that involved going to church religiously every Sunday up until the age of 11. And the only reason I got out of it was because I got to play cricket on Sunday. As for what I believed growing up, not much, to be fair. I didn't understand it. Nothing spoke to me, and I only went because I had to.
So you got to a point where you gave up on church but didn't give up on cricket. Can you say a bit about what you were living for in those years and teenage years?
Sure. Not much, really. Basically, I thought life was pretty tough going through high school, so the best opportunity to not stand out was to hide, and so I just found the crowd, and it wasn't a great crowd, to be honest. Involved drugs and alcohol from a young age, and I thought if I did that, I would fit in, and no one would notice, unfortunately.
Sure thing. Now, throughout this time, or perhaps in your 20s or whatever, you came to know someone who's a Christian, who kept on witnessing to you, and I think who took you to church one Easter. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like and your impressions on being in church that day?
Yeah, so I had a friend, really well, a neighbour, a couple of houses down from me, and I knew he was a Christian because he said he was. And he invited me to church regularly, and I'd turn him down. And then the next week, he'd invite me again, and I'd turn him down. And there's a little game going back and forth there. But the Easter story always kind of spoke to me. There's just something a little bit about that was a bit special to me. So he invited me one Easter, and I said, sure, I'll go, because I'll like to hear the Easter story. It'll be great. Unfortunately, when I got in there, the pastor said, if you're new here tonight, this isn't a sermon for you. And I was like, oh, great. And it was for me, but I didn't think of it was at the time. It was on, I believe it was on Joel, and it was on Judgment. And turning up there, and I was thinking, yes, religion, Easter story, going to be good. And then I heard that, and I was pretty dark. And pretty dark at my friend who invited me too. So he invited me the next week, and I said no.
I think I won't ask which church you were invited to, but we'll move on. Yep, keep going.
But I couldn't get out of my head this whole judgment thing. And after about 6 weeks, I went back to my friend, and I said, mate, what's that all about? Because I can't get it out of my head. And he invited me to go to a course called Christianity Explored. It was really good, and there was good cakes. But from that, I slowly saw a bit of Jesus working towards me. And I wasn't attending church very well then, but I was sporadically, I would say yes to him.
Now, after the earthquakes, you moved into rural Canterbury to help build a house for your uncle and auntie, and you did a bit of thinking while you were there. What kind of things were you thinking about?
Sure. So when I say rural Canterbury, it was 17k to the nearest shop, so it was quite secluded. But when I went down there, I took my Bible, which my friend had actually given me, and a few books, and I had a lot of spare time, so I read them. And one day, it hit me, and Jesus spoke to me, and I responded back, and I said, Lord, I'm willing. Do with me what you will. I'm ready to give my life to you.
Now, that was a number of years ago, and I know that life's not always been easy since then. Can you say something about how life's been, and maybe how you think it's been different as a result of you following Jesus?
Yeah, I'd love to stand up here and say it's been great, everything's rosy, but life's not like that. And for the most part, yeah, my life has been very good. I'd be very appreciative since I've given my life to Christ. But there have been hard times. So I had a bout with depression, which was quite possibly the toughest moment in my life. And I wanted out. I didn't see a way out at that stage either. And that was very hard to deal with, especially for my family. But through that trying time, I feel much stronger in my faith with the Lord. And in some parts, I don't regret going through that depression because I am stronger and my love for Christ is stronger for it because I'm able to rely on him that much more. I know that that was my lowest and I can't go any further, and he was with me through that whole time. And it's such a blessing to receive forgiveness for my sins and then be able to give forgiveness back to those who hurt me. That also pulled me through that after that tough time, to extend an arm of forgiveness to people and say, I've been given forgiveness from my Lord and Saviour, so you deserve mine too.
Thank you for sharing that. Just for anyone here who's on the fence or not sure where they stand with Christ, what would you say to them?
I'd say don't knock it. If you are new here tonight or a friend has invited you, it's great that you're here. And you may have some more questions. So I'd definitely, don't be afraid to ask them. Or if you are a church goer or new to church, maybe ask the pastor or a member at the church. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to take 5 minutes out to answer a question and help you. I'm very thankful for my friend who stuck it out, because it's very easy to give up on someone when they're constantly saying no. So I just say keep persevering and give it all to the Lord, really.
It's wonderful to hear, isn't it? And just terrific to hear of that guy's faithfulness, who kept on praying, kept on witnessing, but also God's work in your life. And we do give thanks for you. Do give him a warm round of applause.